So topic number two is the financial statements. Measure your financial health and progress. So our learning objective in this topic is to use balance sheets and cash flow statements to measure your financial health and progress. So these are just like the financial statements of a company or a corporation. So we are all familiar with this one, but this one focuses on your personal finance. So it is a compilation of personal financial data that describe an individual's or family's current financial condition. So even an individual, if they want to know their financial condition, they can know their financial condition. Okay, so these financial statement present a summary of assets and liabilities as well as income and spending of an individual or family. So there are two most useful statements. We have the balance sheet, or also known as the net worth statement. It describes an individual's or family's financial condition on a specified date, such as, or usually January 1, by showing assets, liabilities, and net worth. Okay, so it answers the questions or the question, what, where are you financially right now? Okay, and then the other most useful statement is the cash flow statement or the income and expense statement. It lists and summarizes income and expense transactions that have taken place over a specific period of time, such as in a month or a year. So it tells you where your money came from and where it went. So it answered the question, where did your money go? So yung balance sheet, um, they can tell where are you financially right now, while a cash flow statement can answer your question, where did your money go? Okay, so if you want to know the answer to those questions, you should prepare a balance sheet and a cash flow statement for yourself and for your family. Okay, so let's focus first on the balance sheet. So it answers, or it is a snapshot of your financial status right now. So there are three components. So just the same, we have the assets, the liabilities, and the net worth. So ano ba yung mga assets? So what is owned? Ano ba yung mga properties mo? Ano yung pagmamayari mo? So ito, binavalue yung assets dito at their fair market value or yung FMB, if you can still remember. So it is the price or the amount that a willing buyer would pay a willing seller. So hindi to yung amount, hindi to yung original amount or yung future value. Okay? So we have three classifications of assets. We have first the monetary assets. The monetary assets are also known as the liquid assets or cash equivalents. So, andito yung mga cash, yung cash on hand, and also yung mga low risk, near cash items, meaning they can easily be converted into a cash without hassle or without loss dun sa value. So, example nun, yung mga bank accounts nyo, yung mga checking account, savings account, certificate of time deposits, and money market accounts. Okay? And then, yung mga money owed to you by others. So, yung mga, kung merong mga tao na may utang sa inyo. So, kasama din yun sa monetary assets. And then, we have the tangible assets or your personal property whose primary purpose is to provide um, maintenance of one's everyday lifestyle. Dito pala class, sa monetary assets, yung primary purpose nito are for maintenance of your everyday living expenses. Yung mga pang-emergencies mo and pang-bayad ng bills. So, under yon sa monetary assets. While for the purpose of providing maintenance of one's everyday lifestyle. So, dito yung nagpo-fall sa intangible assets. So, yung mga cars, mga vehicles, house, may mga kondo kayo, personal property, such as jewelry, mga furniture, tools, and mga clothes, to tangible assets yun. And then the last classification is the investment assets, also known as capital assets. So, these include tangible and intangible items that have a relatively long life and high cost. And then, in-acquire mo siya to provide additional income and appreciation or increasing of value of that property. Okay, so example nun are stocks, bonds, mutual funds, mga life insurance, annuities, real property. So, di ba, tangible or intangible siya. So, example of a tangible investment asset is your real property. Okay? And then we have the personal and employer provided retirement accounts. So, those are examples of an investment assets. Yung nakakapag-provide sa inyo ng additional income or passive income. Then, let's now come to the liabilities. So, what is owed? The section summarizes the debts owned, including both personal and business-related debts. So, pwedeng short-term or current liabilities. When you say short-term or current liabilities, ito yung mga payables mo within a year. So, yung mga personal loans owed to other people, credit card, professional services, unpaid. Kung meron kang mga unpaid services sa doctors mo, sa dentist mo, okay? Sa lawyers, yung mga past due rent, utility bills, and insurance premiums, kasama din dito. Then for the long-term liabilities, we have your car loans, real estate mortgages, meron kayong mga housing loan, education loans, and margin loans on securities. Okay? And then last one is the net worth po. The question here is, what is left? So net worth is determined by subtracting liabilities from asset. What is owned minus what is owed is equivalent to your net worth. So here is an example of a balance sheet. Balance sheet for a college student. So as you can see, there are assets, the liabilities, and the net worth. So ito, the amounts are expressed in dollar because our reference is an international book. So, naka-dollar siya. So, under assets, we have the cash on hand. So, meron siya ang checking and savings account. Meron siyang personal property. Meron siyang car. And then the total assets. And then under liabilities, meron siyang mga past due sa kanyang bills. Meron siyang loan. Yung nandito sa ano niya, na car or automobile, naka-loan siya. So, nandito din siya sa liabilities. 3,130 na lang yung balance. And then we have college loan, government, educational loan. And then the total liabilities are 8,700. So as you can see, mas malaki yung liabilities niya compared sa assets. Okay? So, technically, in this case, the person is insolvent because his net worth is negative. So, it's negative $740. Okay? So, maybe ito, when students graduate and take on full-time jobs, pwedeng mag-iba yung balance sheet niya. So, that is the time that he can be able to pay all these liabilities, and then that's time na pwedeng mag-increase na yung kanyang assets. And then, yung kanyang net worth. Then we have these strategies to increase your net worth. You can increase your net worth by increasing assets or decreasing liabilities or doing both. So one way to increase assets and net worth is to cut back on spending. So bawasan yung mga expenses. So for example, if mahilig kayo sa coffee, so lagi kayo nag-Starbucks, so you can cut back on spending by buying a cheaper coffee. So yung amount na masasave mo, you can deposit that in your savings account. So by that way, yung asset mo mag-i-increase. Okay? Second way to increase net worth is to increase income to build assets or pay down debt. So for example, as you earn more money, consider saving most of the difference between your new income and your old income rather than using the added money for your spending. Yung iba kasi, kapag lumaki yung sahod, increase nila is ini-spend din nila. Ina-add nila for their spending. So yung lifestyle nagbabago, kaya lumalaki din yung expense. So instead of doing that, you should consider the difference as your savings para mag-increase yung assets mo. Okay? Or for example, meron kang mga utang sa credit card, paying off your debts can increase your net worth kasi mababawasan yung liabilities mo. The next second most important statement is the cash flow statement. It tracks where your money came from and went. It shows whether you were able to live within your income during that period. So it reflects the flow of funds in and out. There are three sections in the cash flow statement. First is the income, next is the expenses, and the surplus or the deficit. First, let's first discuss what income is. So income or the cash coming in. So you may think of income as simply what is earned from your salaries or wages, but there are other types of income that you should include on a cash flow statement. So some of those are bonuses and commissions. So when you work for a company, usually may mga bonus yan aside from your monthly salary. Then we have public assistance. So ito yung support that you are getting from the government. And then the social security benefits, pension if you are a retired employee, scholarship and grants for students like you, and interest and dividends received kung meron kayong mga investments like bonds and stocks, income from the sale of assets. So ito yung if you have properties and then you sell that properties, yung proceeds of sale can also be your income. And then other gifts like other income like gifts, rents, royalties, and capital gains. Then we have the expenses. Ito namang expenses are all the cash going out. All expenditures made during the period covered should be included in the expenses section. So the number and the type of expenses will vary for each individual and family. So iba-iba yung mga expenses ng bawat individual or ng family. Many people categorize expenses according to whether they are fixed or variable. When you say fixed, these are usually paid in the same amount during each time period. So for example, dito sa um, housing, so yung fixed expense mo dito, monthly payment mo is 10,000. So hindi nagbabago yun. And then also, yung sa insurance payment nyo monthly or quarterly, fixed din siya. Installment loan payments. So, you can see here na yung savings and investments, part siya ng ano, 'di ba, investment assets, pero nandito siya sa fixed expenses kasi um, isa siya sa mga cash na lumalabas sa inyo. So, fixed siya kung meron kang fixed amount na naka-allot for your savings and investment. Then, sa mga variable expenses naman, um, ito yung mga expenses that you have control. So, you can adjust. Say, for example, itong meal, last month, 5,000 yung budget mo. Pero this month, medyo tinapos ka. So, ginawa mo na lang na 4,000. Another example, or utilities. So, ito yung mga electricity, water, or gas bills natin. So, hindi siya fixed monthly. Depends on your consumption. Transportation is also an example of variable expenses. Yung mga gasoline, yung rate, di ba, nag-iiba siya monthly. Public transportation, okay. So, madami pang mga expenses such as medical expenses, cable, television, charitable contribution. So, these are example of variable expenses. And then the third section is the cash surplus or deficit. So, when you say surplus, it is also called as net gain or net income. That is when the total income exceeds the total expenses. And when you say deficit, it is also the net loss. And this happens when expenses exceed income. So in short, the formula for surplus or deficit is equals to total income minus total expenses. Then we have here a sample of the cash flow statement of an individual. So under ng kanyang income or the wages, scholarship, government grant, tax refund, and total income is 11,710, while expenses, so meron siyang room rent, includes utilities, laundry, food, ayan. So pinaghalo na dito yung fixed and variable expenses. And then the total expenses are or is 11,643. So the total income exceed the total expenses. That's why surplus pa din. Meron pa ding net gain na $67. So what does the $67 surplus indicates? So this demonstrates that The owner of this cash flow statement is managing his financial resources successfully, wherein he does not have to use savings or borrow money to make financial ends meet. Okay? So, um, ano ba yung mga possible things na gawin mo dito sa $67? So, it is available to spend, to save, invest, or donate. So, it's up to you.